Hello and welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews. Today, we're welcoming Laurie Stevens. She's the author of the award-winning Gabriel McRae series, which has won 12 awards. Welcome, Laurie.
Thanks, Tracy, for having me. It's always nice to chat.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had a chance to catch up with each other.
Yeah, and thanks so much for being here. So I just finished the Twilight's Hush, and so I haven't read the early books in this series, and now I really want to go back because I loved your character, Gabriel McRae, and anyway, I just got so into the story and the characters.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So in Twilight's Hush is the fourth book in the series. Tell us about the story's origin a little bit.
Well, I know you're an author too, and I think we write what we have a passion for. And what the character's origin is I couldn't stand hearing about child abuse and I know what happens with people when they go through post-traumatic stress disorder. It's so serious, and the work that we do on ourselves takes a long time if we want to change something about our personality. And I really wanted to chronicle one man's journey from having post-traumatic stress disorder brought on by a childhood trauma all the way through the steps. So it was interesting for me because I sort of got to go along with his journey. And I researched psychologists. I did a lot of research from books, a lot of research on the internet. And then whatever I couldn't gather or whatever questions I had left, I just went ahead and would take a professional out, wine and dine them a little bit and have them fill in the blanks for me. So it was a very interesting journey to go along with my character because there was an end point. I wanted him to become a more contented, happier person. And there are steps to take through that. So you read the fourth book, which is kind of like putting a bow on everything at that point for him regarding where he is in his psychology.
Right.
In the first book, The Dark Before Dawn, he's a hot mess. I mean, he'll be a different character, which you may not like so much in that one. That's why I wanted you to start off with the fourth one. I mean, because it's there now, so why not?
Well, and don't you feel like you're there too with your character, right?
I am. It's weird now when people do start with the first book and they approach me from that point because it's like it's having left something behind. And I'm mentally not there anymore. So I try to remember what they're talking about. Like, why did Gabriel do this? Or, oh my God, when this happened? And I'd be going, when did that happen? Okay. Yeah, I'm not there anymore, but okay.
When you almost have to reread your own book. Right?
Yeah. Well, he takes a mental departure through he has an arc that goes. So
yeah.
Anyhow, that's it.
Well, with all of his quirks and flaws, he becomes engaged to Ming, who is a feisty counterpart to his sort of darkness, I mean, and I don't know, to me, he's such a dude, I mean, he really reminded me a lot of the Bosch character in those.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Series. Yeah. And I don't know how you feel about him in his early days, if he would still be like that guy, but I'm trying to read my question.
Oh no, not a problem. No, on the Bosch subject, I've heard that multiple times. And it's funny, I think I've read one Harry Bosch book. It's Michael Connelly, right?
I think so.
Yeah. It's not David Patterson, it's Connelly.
Yeah,
I have read one of his books. I didn't really see, to me, my character was much darker than him, but there's been so many comparisons between the two. In fact, I have a book to film agent, and when he was trying to get a sort of a movie deal or a episodic deal, it's being shopped right now by another agent, but this other one tried, and that actually was one of the things that people said, oh no, it's just this the story is too much like Bosch, and I'm like, oh no, it's not.
Yeah.
Really not. But
But why
I
did
don't
you choose to write from a man's point of view?
I get asked that a lot because life for him would be easier in that respect, and I could concentrate on the things I wanted to concentrate rather than, okay, now I'm going to have a female LA County Sheriff's homicide detective, because a female is going to deal with so much of a different, her issues are going to be different already just by being where she is as a woman. And I didn't really want to approach it from I wanted to skip that. I didn't want that to be the issues. I had other issues for him.
Okay. Not being female added on top of that.
And it felt like a male character when I was developing the character. I'll tell you why. It's because at the time when I was developing his character, which was quite a few years ago, male sexual abuse was very underserved in psychotherapy. Females are more likely to be looked at as victims, whereas men, up until a few years ago, it was, if you've been abused as a man, then you can't be a real man. And, and that was sort of like there was a prejudice there, and I wanted to act on that. I wanted to act on it, and I didn't like that. It's obviously come to the foreground now, ever since the priest scandals and things like that. Male sexual abuse has come to the foreground, but at the time I was developing his character, it was still it wasn't talked about that much. With females it was, and I wanted to do it from a man's point of view.
Yeah,
I felt it was necessary.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this book has another like spiritual or psychic element. Tell the readers about the secondary character, Carmen Jeanette.
She's a new character in this book, but she won't be the last. She's going to revisit again, because I ended up really liking the dynamic between her and Gabriel, which is just platonic.
Yeah.
The thing I wanted to do with Carmen is, I didn't want her to have this kind of woo, kind of sensation. Like, I see exactly where this victim is, or I wanted her to be more intuitive than being able to be an out and out, what most people think of as a psychic. She does see a ghost, but I had to be careful because I didn't want to alienate the hardcore thriller fans, because I thought the minute I introduce a ghost, they're going to call BS on this, And so I wanted to have only Carmen be the one that has the paranormal experiences. Gabriel has paranormal experiences, but they're very subtle, very veiled, and something he could easily disregard or choose to see it as a mystical experience if he wants. So I had to construct the plot in that way, that the paranormal was more obvious with her and very, very subtle, and less so with him. In fact, he's a skeptic, as you remember, almost to the end.
Right. But I really like their interaction together too. And he doubted, his own like truth that this doesn't exist. This is impossible. Right. There's no such thing as psychic. And then, things would happen for him that he was just a little like, woo,
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, when he goes to his therapist, the psychologist tells him, look, these things that you're experiencing could be results of in this book, The Mask of Midnight, he has a terrible experience with a serial killer that comes back from a previous book and takes revenge on him. And so the psychologist says, look, this could just be a remnant of that experience. So what you're seeing is, and Gabriel's like, hey, I thought I went through all the PTSD and I'm learning to cope with that. I don't want to have it start all over again. And the psychologist says, well, that must be what it is. But is it?
Right.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted him to have that possibility that he could put it down to something else that it's not, but he chooses to want to believe in something different.
Yeah.
I think he would want to see that, because also for me, that meant that not only did he go from victim to survivor, but now he wants to try to thrive in this new environment. And thriving for him means to become a little more metaphysical, a little more spiritual. That's thriving.
Mhm.
And I did want to put him in that kind of situation.
Yeah. So do you write mostly what you know or what you want to know?
I think what I want to know. I could probably write a book about what I know as far as interpersonal relationships. You and I just had a discussion about things just before we did this interview.
Yeah.
And that would be writing what I know. I could write a book about business. I worked 30 years with my husband in his business. But I like to write what I don't know because I love research. The book I'm working on now is a little bit of sci-fi, and I've never written that before. And it's been so fun to just look at all the technological things they're working on now. And I have to write this book fast because whatever I think of as in the future, it's going to be here before you know it.
Right.
And they're working on things that blow your mind, from
I
the
know.
kind of weaponry to anyhow. So and I want all of that to be true, just like I wanted the therapy in this series to be true to life. I want whatever bizarre technological things that some of them I'm thinking of, but most of them are stuff that they are working on now, and to implement them in the book is something that I enjoy doing because it's research. It's what to your point, it's things that I don't know about, but I can learn. It's like a continuing education. So yeah.
Yeah, I know that's kind of the fun part about being an author too. You think you get to keep up with what's happening out there. And
Right. And you get to learn about what you want to learn about. If you go
right.
to school, you can get the letters after your name, but at the same time, you're learning a lot of stuff that you may not be very interested in. This way, I can go right to what I'm interested in and learn as much as I want to about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything you'd like to tell us about upcoming works or books that you're working on now? Or
Well, like I mentioned,
the
I'm
sci-fi?
writing for the first time. I don't even want to call it science fiction because all the technology is what they're working on, but it's mind blowing. I mean, from
Yeah.
3D printers that they have already to bioprinters, which means that you could put a few cultured cells of meat cells in a printer and
And
go
yeah,
to
I've
work.
heard about that. Yep. And
And when
it'll
by the time you come home, it's a fillet that you can have for dinner. It's just there's some things, and that's like you said, you've heard of that.
I've heard of vending machines that you can get like a fully cooked meal from.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
like in
that I haven't.
Star Trek, that they push the button. I would like a blob, and they push the button, and there's their meal.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, that's very like Jetsons too,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's not only like autonomous cars that we already are talking about on an everyday basis now, but air taxis, things that to lift off like helicopters, but they don't have the noise. They just, it's like, but that they're working on that.
Yeah.
It's nothing that's not being worked on, and the whole subject of artificial intelligence is a
Yep.
whole other whole other thing. And my book features that very heavily.
Cool. Wow,
So
that's a very exciting.
yeah.
Will there be another Gabriel McRae book?
I think so, yeah. Because I've in Twilight's Hush, I did leave a couple of doors open. They're very subtle doors, but I thought I wanted his character to sort of get to a certain place, and then I can kind of have fun with it. If there's another book written, it's going to be him working on a cold case again, because I really like that. I had fun with that.
Yeah.
And then of course Carmen Jeanette will come back.
Yeah. Great. Well, good. I'm really looking forward to that too now.
Thanks, Tracy.
Yeah. In closing, just for fun, could you describe Gabriel McRae's very first car?
He was such a mess. It would have to be his, what was he driving? Was it a Honda? But it would be a clunker. It would just be a clunker because he wouldn't care about it. Whatever it would be used. It would be a clunker. It would have broken air conditioning and probably everything mostly broken except the engine. So because he didn't care. His first car, he wouldn't care. He cares later, but
Yeah.
in the beginning, he just doesn't care. He didn't
Okay. Good to know.
care. I'd love to say Maserati, but it wouldn't be him.
Yeah.
Not in the beginning. No.
All right. Well, where can your readers find you these days?
Well, other than Laurie Stevens Author on Facebook, Laurie Stevens 1 on Twitter. You can always visit my website, which is lauriestevensbooks.com. And of course, the books are sold on Barnes and Noble, Kobo, and Amazon. If you look them up, there's The Dark Before Dawn, there's Deep into Dusk, Mask of Midnight, and then the one you just read, which is in Twilight's Hush.
All right. And we can find you on blackbirdwriters.com.
Let's not forget blackbirdswriters.com.
Okay.
It's a great group of fabulous writers. And I highly recommend everyone going there and checking it out, because you're not just going to see me, but you're going to see Tracy, and you're going to see so many other great writers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Thanks so much for coming, and look for more from Laurie and from all the other writers on Blackbird Writers. See you around. Bye.